Welcome to Listen Up Now, and to let you know what's going on in your world and my world, your guy, my guy, right guy.
Good morning. We have a really exciting show ahead today. We're joined by Dr. Emerald Fulmore, Assistant Professor for Sports Management at Bowie State University. Welcome.
Good morning. Good morning. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. And how you doing this fine Friday morning?
I'm doing absolutely amazing. Blessed. I cannot complain. Hey, it's Friday.
I think that's very important to let people know the positive energy you put out is what you will get back. And doing things with great intention is always a wonderful foundation to do anything. And with that, we want to know all the great things you're doing and what you have going on right now. So tell us what's happening in the sports management world.
Oh, absolutely. So, I actually am going into finishing up my third year as full-time faculty at Bowie State University. Sports management department, they're amazing sports management. That was my undergraduate studies. So just working with our students and getting them ready for the workforce in terms of a career in sports, entertainment, hospitality, management, leadership, just making them well-rounded adults so that they can actually go out of university in terms of working in academia, going into the career field of sports, and really making an impact. I've always told my students every time I meet a new class or build a relationship, it starts when you are working on your sports management degree, but from there, like exploring other opportunities such as your master's program, your doctorate's program, just allowing yourself to go further beyond the four walls that you can see in front of you. So getting our students into a lot of the internships. I'm always out in the community working with our professional teams, our collegiate teams, so that I can bring it back to our campus for our students to say, okay, well, I'm interested in this area. And my goal is to say, okay, well, I'm getting you connected. So we always try to really push them to really dive into areas that they may be comfortable with and areas that they may not be comfortable with. But that's my goal as a professor. I've always valued my students and their progression in the world of sports because it can be very, very, very competitive. And you can kind of be defeated at times because it is very competitive. But hey, I'm here to make sure that my students can compete on that level.
No,
So
and
we are.
absolutely. I mean, one of the things that is true in nature is survival of the fittest. Now, did you always have a passion for sports, or is sports management something you actually need to have an interest in sports to be involved in?
No, I've always been an avid like participant in sports, athlete, and I'm saying from my youth years, middle school, elementary school, volleyball, basketball, softball. I even dabbled in track and field, but wasn't my ministry is what I would say. But I really stuck with the volleyball and the basketball throughout high school. I dabbled into it in college for volleyball, but I know I wanted to really focus on my academics, so getting my coursework done in 3.5 years, going on to do my internship at a Division I institution in the world of sports. And another interest of mine was, of course, sports law. So another avenue that I was kind of propelled to be in was the world of athletic compliance. Because I always saw these athletic directors. I did not see a lot of female athletic directors. So I was like, I gotta know the rules, gotta know the law. So I'll start with the world of compliance first.
Well, I'm sure that was a lot of fun. And Raga, I know, has a question for you right now.
Yeah, I find the whole world really fascinating. As someone similar to you who's always been involved with sports going, since an early age, and now even working with physical therapy and sports medicine, obviously there's a huge emphasis on getting the athlete to their peak condition, making sure that they're feeling the best way possible. I did want to ask you sort of what were the first steps, getting into the sports management sort of field, and what has it been like, sort of trying to navigate that whole industry?
Well, the first steps was for me was to connect with, of course, my mentors and mentees that were in the world of sports. So from there, I was, of course, given the opportunity to dive into the internship field with getting the experience and the journey. I will not say it has been a straight and narrow road. So I always talk about this logic of paving your path into the world of sports, especially for my women, because we do not see a lot of us in this field to remain that's having that seat at the table in terms of being an athletic director. So the road has had its ups and downs, but I have consistently networked and kept positive people around me, to really keep me motivated, encouraged to continue to move through those challenges. So of course, tying in my academic expertise and really my passion for higher education as well, tying that all together, because again, in the world of athletics, is cutthroat. Either you can jump on board, or hey, y'all have to find you another avenue. So I dove into the world of compliance, and then of course working with our head administrators, working with our athletic trainers, getting some knowledge in all of the areas that consisted in the world of sports that made our student athletes really get to that next level. Because I did all the certification piece, but still I need to ensure that they were going to be well enough to compete. So really building that relationship and that dynamic. And then in turn, our students, especially in our sports management area, they're working in those avenues with like player performance, sports rehabilitation. So they are really getting that experience because of my previous experience, from my lived experience in that area with athletes. So just really taking all of those components and putting them all into one area, it's really built my knowledge base overall.
Well, we'll definitely cut out that last piece because I believe that was Agent Nicole Lynn from Clutch Sports calling you, one of the leaders that you actually see in the space now. And I want to ask you, along your career path, have you seen more women now being involved in the business side of sports outside of just being trainers or facilitators on the rehab side? Is the sports management field growing at a rate for women that is something to take notice?
It's consistently growing, but I think as professionals such as myself, it's my intention, it's my responsibility to educate and continue to educate our women on the avenues in the world of sports. We got to be able to walk the walk, talk the talk. We got to be able to put our best foot forward to be able to get to that table, to have those conversations, to be in that space, because it's not going to be easy. So we're progressing in avenues of coaching. Jennifer King, I'll follow her when she got the position with the Washington Commanders, and now she's with the Chicago Bears. So a lot of these things that are popping up, like your Nicole Lynn, who's a big time sports agent managing Jalen Hurd with the Philadelphia Eagles,
Yes.
and like these are some of the things that our women, they're seeing us on these major platforms, and that is very encouraging. So I consistently push those things that are hitting the news circuits and saying, "Oh wow, look at these amazing opportunities." We're getting there, but we have to continue to elevate, motivate, propel. We got to get them to these events so they can see women that look and talk and know the game. That's the biggest thing. Like, don't be discouraged because you don't know the game. Learn the game. My goal is to put you in those spaces where you're gonna be able to do that. So absolutely, we're progressing more and more, and I love that they're highlighting women, because guess what? Today is March 1st, and what is March? It's National Women's Month. So I'm going to be doing a lot of things with our women, specifically within our sports management program. They got to put the work in, but I'm going to make sure that they're in front of people that are doing the work as well.
Now, with leadership like yours at the front of the table and actually being in these rooms where these conversations happen, actually, Rich Paul from Clutch Sports again, that's one of the things he attributes to his success was being in the room where these conversations were happening with the key decision makers. Now, I know that in some of these rooms, a lot of things are not said. And you're talking about getting people together to network and have more communication. In sports management, especially for the women, do you find it easier to communicate within your field versus talking to maybe men in roles of ownership or decision making?
For me personally, I don't. But I'm always talking to my female students who are sports management majors, trying to identify, okay, what are some of your strengths and what are some of your weaknesses? Like if you were in the room with a president or CEO of the Washington Commanders, like what conversations would you have with them? Like what experience would you share with them or the skill sets that you would share with them that you have that also the male counterparts has as well. So again, going back to knowing the field and career path that you want to go into, learning all of those key aspects and roles that they actually hold, and then trying to really identify the fit for you individually, because not everything is a fit for everyone. So you got to really like sometimes grow where you're planted, but you also want to be able to bloom where you're planted as well. So really when getting into those spaces, just understanding, okay, I'm here now, what am I going to do now that I am here? And will I bring others up behind me to really get them to the table also? And having those big conversations, because sometimes I was not always in the room, but I would try to find back doors, various avenues to ensure that I was still in the know of what was going on. So when I got to the table, oh, I can flow with things. Here's some of the changes that we need to make. Here's some of the challenges that I've seen, but here's the solution to how we can manage this challenge to make it into a positive outcome. So really just having that mindset that you can pretty much put yourself in a position to do any and everything that your counterparts can do as well. So look, you're your own brand, so you need to be able to sell it.
Right.
Absolutely. We agree 1,000% with that.
Yeah, and you mentioned, the different roles that sort of go into making something like that possible or come to fruition. And, I know there's a lot of different parts and moving pieces that sort of come together in the equation of sports management. I'm just sort of curious, coming from the physical therapy and sports medicine sort of realm of things, I was wondering how you see the field of sports management intersecting with physical therapy, especially in the context of athlete rehabilitation or injury prevention.
Well, for sports management majors, majority of our student base are student athletes, and I would say at least 90 to 100% of them has experienced some type of injury throughout their collegiate career and within a sport. So those are our strongest base right there to dive into that physical therapy avenue because they understand it. They understand the ups and downs, the ebbs and flows of getting injured from beginning to end, to getting back onto the court or to the field to perform their within their respective sports. So really taking those skill sets, because I don't think some students kind of really can really tap into some of their experiences that they've had as a student athlete. I think they see themselves, oh, I could be a coach. I could be a player development, personnel. But no, these are some of the other avenues you can dive into as well. Because I would be honest, I thought about kinesiology when I was in my undergraduate studies, and I was like, you know what? I might just try a different avenue because I was learning the bones, the muscular system, everything, and I was like, you know what? I'll change and do a little different, but I can always go back to that because I'm going to work with individuals in that field, and then working with student athletes. Oh, you'll learn a lot of things from student athletes.
And on that note, I'm curious to what do these kids or these student athletes now turning into professional, hopefully student or sports management leaders, what are some of the challenges that you see as an educator that these students of today seem to have a wake up call, especially in the sports management world? What, in other words, I want to know what really slaps them in the face to let them know, hey, this may not be for you.
Well, I would say the key thing that slaps the student athletes in the face is that you're not going pro.
Mm.
So what is your backup plan? Your main plan was that you were a student first and you're an athlete second. So that's, as a compliance administrator, that's what I always instilled in them because I have to see all your academic work. I got to see that when you get your degree, you can move into a career field and say, oh, I was a student athlete, but I also excelled academically because
Mm,
the NCAA they pride themselves off of student athletes who are amazing students that work hard in the classroom because it builds their traits of characteristics that oh, I'm gonna be an amazing leader as well. I'm not only can relate to the sports world and dive into being a player, but hey, also I'm very smart as well. So I think that transition for a lot of our student athletes per se is a wake up call because a lot of them strive to get to that next level. But they have to look at the reality is those numbers are very far few and in between to get to that level. Now, in terms of our students that are in the sports management realm, the biggest thing for them is I would say the field experience. So I'm always talking to my students about getting experience, whether it's a small activity or whether it's a big activity. So it's an event going around the city, locally, in their own community. Get involved.
mm.
It starts with you getting the experience under your belt, networking, building relationships, all of those things tie into to one another so that you can say, well, I have experience here, I have experience there. Those transferable skills can take you anywhere. I always tell my students, look, if you want to be a sports agent, who are you connecting with? What are you learning? I have contacts right now, a young lady, Dominique Stapleton, has her own sports agency here in DC. And she trains and goes through a certification course for individuals that want to be sports agents. And I tell my students all the time, look, I know these folks, we're getting you connected, but you also have to connect with them as well. Look, they always say, what's that? The saying you can't lead a horse
Horse
to the
to
water.
water.
Okay. So I'm like, look, I can set the groundwork for you, but you have to finish the foundation and put that building together at the end of the day. So really getting them to understand that they have to put that work in and be very, very intentional about who they are and what they're doing now so that it will shine through when they graduate and they'll be ready for their career field.
And that's a really good point. I mean, it's being smart on and off the field, right? You know, making sure that you have a good plan in place. You're carrying yourself in the community. You're carrying yourself, in the career path that, falls into place for you. And it's sort of going into that idea of education, the importance of that for the student athlete. I did want to know, how can a knowledge, in your opinion, of physical therapy principles maybe enhance the skill set of professionals in sports management roles, especially with like athlete development and support services?
Absolutely. I would say visibility, coming to campus in different departments, speaking, having individuals such as yourselves coming on to our program, speaking to our students to let them know, okay, here's an opportunity. Like these are the areas and avenues that we have our craft in. So have you thought about this? Because like I said, some students are really just, it's a one track type of mindset for them. And a lot of students, they're now thinking, oh, entrepreneurship. They want to have their own business. So, okay, where's your business plan? So what are we doing? So it's like
you know,
they're like they're I think they're focused on the now. And I had this conversation yesterday with a colleague. They talk about students being the microwave kind of a generation where they want things fast, quick, and easy and now. But I think like myself, getting businesses, organizations, professionals in front of them so that they can be geared to ask questions and really start to open up those doors or look, turn on the light bulbs in their mindset to say, okay, this
and
might be
it's very true. I mean, you're absolutely right. Without a strong foundation, it's going to be a weak structure, regardless, no matter
yeah.
what you do in life. And you made a great point on the now factor. We live in a now society, social media. Do you believe the expectations of these students, especially entrepreneurial students, getting into your space, think it's just this dream world and then you have to really bring them back. Is that one of your biggest challenges right now?
It really is. So I know we are working with like our entrepreneurial academy for our over really for all of the students at Bowie State University. And I think for students utilizing the social media platforms, they're really able to see, okay, well, the glitz and glamour of things is nice, but who's doing the work? Who's putting together, like I said, those business plans? Like, are you learning about S corps? Are you learning about LLCs? Are you learning about nonprofits? Are you setting up your 503c plans? Like, what are you? What knowledge have you obtained? What events have you attended for like-minded individuals that have their dreams of having their own business or have their own business? Did you sit down with anyone to say, okay, well, I'm interested in this area. Where's my starting point? And how can I get to where you are? So I think a lot of students need to really look at the overall picture because, of course, the end result, if you're successful, it's fun, it's exciting. You get to partner and collaborate with others, but you still have to start somewhere. And like I said, it's going to be ebbs and flows, and it's going to have its challenges. But hey, you can never ever, I would say, give up on any dream that you may have. Continue to push through it. Perseverance is key for anything that we do in life. You have to persevere through things because there's going to be obstacles. Somebody's going to throw a roadblock in front of you. Someone's going to always hoping that you fail at what you do. They might be cheering you on, but in their mindset, no, they don't want you to succeed. But you have to look beyond that and continue to thrive.
You know, one of the great programs you have under your belt, I would like to highlight is the Empower with Purpose. I
Absolutely.
believe that's a very powerful statement in itself because we all have a purpose to serve. It's our job to really find it, nurture it, grow it, and then pass it on to the next person. Now, your program, Empower with Purpose, tell us a little bit about that program, please.
Yes, so I started Empower with Purpose because I was, of course, it really kind of geared from my experience in the world of sports, trying to get through those hurdles, climbing up the ladder, trying to identify, okay, how can I get to my end goal, dream job? And so many roadblocks and challenges came before me, and I had to circumvent and try to identify, okay, this didn't work. What's next? And in the world of sports for women, there has been so many deterrents in terms of being in various positions because we're not getting hired for a lot of the key jobs such as being a CEO or manager director. Like now things are starting to change, but when I was going through the ranks, it was not that light. So me, starting Empower with Purpose, I wanted to connect with my women administrators, professionals, my students, youth programs, all of these women who inspired to really get into the world of sports and find avenues and ways that they can remain in the world of sports because we're doing so many amazing things. Um, Now we're shedding light on sports that we would have never thought we would be diving into. Flag football for one, women's football for two. So all of these areas, it's like there's so many different opportunities in women. Look, we're exploding in various avenues. So this platform was perfect. Empower. That's a big word right there. What are we doing to empower each other each day? What are we doing to empower each other to get the experience? What are we doing to empower each other to go to that next level? There's so many different things that women are doing collaboratively that we're empowering each other in so many different avenues and aspects that our youth that's coming up through the ranks, oh, they're getting ready for the workforce before we can even get them to college now because they're getting that those leadership mindsets. Oh, it's like all your mark, get set, let's go. because I was able to attend a few different events with the DC Divas. And when they had their flag football camp, my daughter participated. Those young ladies were ready. Okay. So I wanted to really jump into now doing the mentee and the mentorship aspect of Empower with Purpose, because that's what it's all about, giving back to those that inspire to aspire to be really in these positions of leadership of the sports world, and let them know that they can do it. So I have had, like I said, a phenomenal women base that has helped me get to where I am, and I still have those women around me. But now we are expanding that to all of our women at this state, to really get them to empower each other with a purpose, because our purpose is to really see them shine, see how bright. I call them my sis star. That's what I call
I
them.
like that. Need to trademark that right away before I do.
I will.
And I really love that word you come back to, empowerment. You know, that's definitely something we're always looking to do as physical therapists and sports medicine, educators and practicers. You know, we always want to make sure that we're giving athletes, we especially love working with student athletes who are, pursuing their dreams, their sports ambitions, and we're always looking to empower them on that course. That's why something we're really happy to be a part of in a program that we're running over in our Bowie office, not too far from Bowie State, is our FMS program. It's functional movement screening, which basically we sit down, we do an evaluation, free of charge with student athletes, sort of take a look at their athletic performance levels, seeing if there's any ways we can improve any aspects or take it a step further for injury prevention and a routine for that going forward. I did want to ask, how you believe sports managers can collaborate more effectively with physical therapists in this regard and sort of optimize that athlete performance and well-being.
Well, I think today is the start for sure. Because look, as you were telling me about this, look, I see partnerships, collaborations with our Department of Athletics for your respective area to come in and get our students over to your facilities and test these various systems and the equipment out, so that the coaches themselves can be educated on it, so that we can see how we can get our students to that highest performance level. Because look, with sports analytics taking place and taking over, believe me, I think they want to see the improvements from one game to the next game. And I think with us all collaborating and working together, we can really truly get that those students prepared for that next level. So that's what we're going to start with. We're going to start with your business, your organization coming on over to our sports management department and meet all the faculty, in addition to collaborating with our Department of Athletics, so that we can see, okay, this is where we're going, and we're going to bring in other colleges. It won't just stop there. We're going to we want to branch this out far and wide, because this is a very resourceful and useful tool for our student athletes to be aware of, our coaches to be aware of, in addition to our sports management students to be aware of as well. Because I say an opportunity is an opportunity. Never pass up any opportunity that's given to you, because, hey, you never know where it may lead you.
And on that note, I'm going to take the opportunity to say thank you and mention again the Empower Purpose. Your roster, very impressive. You've dropped some keywords today that I love: collaboration, communication. And on that note, we were talking about just different programs that are available. And at the end goal for sports managers, it's to become a sports agent. Is that one of the key things that your students strive to do?
Yep, a lot of them strive to get into sports broadcasting. We have some communication majors that come over and want to learn the world of sports journalism. We have we have public relations as well. We have the business avenues. So we ensure that our students get all of those various academic experiences while they are at Bowie State University within the sports management program. And we invite all students that want to come from other programs as well to see, okay, what the sports management department offers, because we're not just a one-stop shop to coaching or just going into an athletic position. So we're much more than that. So I truly want everyone to know that, hey, sports management, way we are moving up the ladder to getting our students prepared for these professional organizations. So hey, you never know who might be the next CEO of the Washington Commanders coming from Bowie State University. You never know.
And that's a beautiful thing about this industry is so many different levels you can make your way through. And in today's world, if you got enough fight in you and you can put two and two together, some good things can actually happen for you. And right now, taking place in Columbia at 360 Performance is a pre-draft camp for aspiring NFL prospects. In the sports management world, what are some of the things you teach your students in order to deal with an athlete about to step into the professional world?
Well, the one thing is they need to understand these contracts and the finances, because a lot of our students are not educated on that. So of course, segue into the NIL, the name, image, and likeness aspect. They need to understand what they are worth, for one, and understand the fine print. Don't bypass and say, oh, well, you're going to give me $1,000 for this small ad, but they're going to take off their percentage and then you get $5 from it. Oh, no. What did I miss? So they have to understand the contract aspect if they are looking to go into the draft and look at different sponsors and identifying, okay, this is going to set me up for my future financially. So let me get some education on what it is I'm reading so that I can best understand it. And then also the health and wellness aspect of it, getting the right people on your team, such as the physical therapy avenues, getting someone that's on your team that's going to keep you in good health to continue to perform and excel also. So just getting our students prepared for those different key aspects of their future, I think is very, very important, because a lot of students, they don't understand that fine print at all. And a lot of them have come into the game and they have exited the game very swiftly, because they did not have the team behind them that was working in their best interest. So it's one of those things to where you have to be able to understand what you're signing. Don't just sign everything.
Right.
Very true.
And you sort of mentioned that integration, working with physical therapy organizations. I did want to sort of ask, as a final note, with the physical therapy realm, as someone with extensive experience in athletic administration, how do you perceive the role of physical therapists within collegiate and professional sports organizations?
Well, I think they're key to really the whole mind, body, and soul for our athletes overall, because who's going to keep them performing? Who's going to be able to identify, okay, well, you're having a injury here, but we don't want that to progress. Let's go ahead and start working on your rehabilitation schedule so that you can get back into the play of things. So really, they are very key and personnel for our student athletes. I always tell my sports management students, go over there and meet our athletic training staff, because without them, we would have really no student athletes performing the way they should, because injuries are bound to happen. It could be the smallest injury to the biggest injury, but without their knowledge and them able to really work with our students to get them back on the field and on the court in a timely manner, how would teams look? A lot of students will be sitting on the bench and always have the injured reserve list. Who wants to be there? Because as a professional athlete, you can't be on that list for so long before you are dismissed.
Yeah, no, time is money, and the best ability, the best ability is availability, as they say. And we'd like to say thank you to Dr. Emerald Fulmore for joining us today, sports management assistant professor at Bowie State University. We're going to put the link up and everything for you so you can check out the wonderful work her organization is doing, Empower with Purpose. And Dr. Fulmore, we have one last question because we're coming up against the clock here. If you can go back to your starting days in your career, what would you tell yourself to be mindful of in your journey as of today?
I would say be mindful of always saying yes, because I know I always said yes to everything, and some things did not benefit me. I consider myself a multitasker when it comes to different jobs and working with outside organizations. And they always talk about this work-life balance type of mindset. And in the world of sports, you're constantly on go. So being able to have that balance, and sometimes you have to say no. Not everyone can be in that position, but I think just telling my younger self to say, okay, look, some things you can't always do, because you're gonna burn yourself out. You don't want to burn
Mm,
yourself out before you get into the game. You want to be able
right.
to push yourself and be very intentional about where you're at, who you surround yourself with, and what you're getting into, because it's just going to give you a better outlook on life. So I'm always going to be able to really flourish on things that I've done. But believe me, I've learned those lessons as well for some of the things that did not that were not in my best interest. But they're all our learning and lived experiences, and we take those things throughout our journey, and we're here to share those with individuals that can really learn something from that.